Give us a counting.
Oh, I assumed that the pressing the button, Frank, was the sit.
Are we live?
Yes, we are live now.
Oh, for fuck's sake! This is you've done this to me again.
I didn't mean to. No. Just now. Just now, after Christy said press the button.
Oh, alright, okay. Welcome to LGBTQ Rants. My name is Sophia Botha. I'm joined by Christy, Abbey, and Ozma the Dark. Ozma of the Dark, isn't it?
Ozma in the dark.
Ozma in the Dark. Okay. Right. Well, let's get down to it. There's only really one story from the UK this week, and oh dear.
Oh yeah, it's a mess.
This is what trans erasure looks like, folks.
Yep.
So, two people have sued the Tavistock Clinic, Gender Identity Clinic, which is the only gender identity clinic in Britain which treats under 16s. And actually, I think it goes up to 18. But basically, someone called Kira Bell was put on when they were age 16 on experimental puberty blockers, and it didn't work out. Now, I bear no grudge against Kira.
Would you really call puberty blockers experimental? Because just because the medication hadn't been used for that, it's been used for cancer treatment since like the 70s.
Yeah, and from this is what the report says, but we'll get on to the fact that it isn't actually experimental. They've been using it in Holland to treat gender dysphoria since the 1980s. Okay.
And guess who was on it in the way back long ago when I was developing breasts at age 13. At age 12, rather.
Right. Now, I don't bear any ill will against Kira Bell. There's one other person who's involved in this lawsuit. It's not a lawsuit, it's a judicial review. Though I hasten to add, there will be lawsuits. If the Tavistock are going to appeal this decision, but if they don't win, that's going to leave the door open for an awful lot of lawsuits. And you just know that there are going to be people like the LGBT Alliance, or what's the other one? There's the Family something Council.
Family Research Council.
Various bodies which are funded by fundamentalist Christians and the far right, who will probably be, egging on some poor sap to say, "Oh, you're not really trans. You're not really trans. Go on, say you're not trans. You could win a lot of money, if you say you're not trans."
Well, yeah, that and the making it so children can't consent also has the potential to be exploited to prevent teens from getting abortions.
As you might,
it actually could. I read the ruling. I read the entire thing, and the precis, which is what most people have read. But you could read this to read you can't vaccinate your children. You have the choice of not vaccinating your children. So,
now,
I mean, seriously.
Well, yes,
it's a shit ruling.
And if you plus also there are implications regards underage abortion.
Yeah. Oh yeah, abortion. But I mean, even it's such a shit ruling. It's very, very, very poorly written. It is very, very poorly thought through. And pretty much it was just fuck you trans people.
Well, yeah. Now, the thing is, you had a load of TERFs on Twitter yesterday. I didn't bother to bookmark those tweets from them.
Which is generally good for sanity.
Well, yeah. but all these people go, this court decision's right. Kids don't know what they want. Have you ever spoken to a trans kid? Because I know you when I was 4 fucking years old. Yeah. And because when I was 11 years old, I remember telling a social worker I was trans, and I was laughed at, and I was treated like I was, supposedly disturbed. Yeah. Because I couldn't make any steps towards social transition, during my teens, right? I had a really fucked up, puberty and adolescence.
Yeah.
These people, they don't fucking talk to any of these. They don't talk to trans kids. They seem, there's a part of me which really does think, fuck cis people, because they just don't have the vaguest idea. They still think that this is some sort of kink, that it's some sort of fetish. It's not.
Well, I get the impression that that's much more the case in the UK, which has a surprising amount of belief in the autogynephilia bullshit.
Yeah, and also which the autogynephilia bullshit is bullshit, because I mean, I only was 4 years old. I was not sexually active.
Well, so, yeah, and also
I've had that argument reversed.
Yeah, I know. It's also a stupid argument, because we've known since the DSM-3 that children understand their gender identity or whatnot. Since the DSM-3, which was like in the 70s or 80s, I want to say like 1977 or whatnot, and the fact that there's like making a study to completely disregard all the information that we've come to understand from the DSM-3. Of course, it was thrown out by most academics, because well, I mean, there's a lot of problems with that study.
But here's the thing, right? TERFs, they're running about going, what about the children? What about the children? I don't give a shit about the children. They want trans erasure. First of all, it's banning kids from having puberty blockers, which will give them some fucking relief from gender dysphoria. Then it's onto the adults, banning them getting HRT.
Well, it's already. I mean, it's still like it's still hard to get.
They won't be happy until we're sitting at the very least, we're sitting at the back of the bus and not using the same lunch counter, and obviously not the same toilet. And at the very worst, they would like to pack us into fucking cattle trucks and ship us off to death camps. And people say, "Oh, they've never said that." It's implied.
It's never said that. Oh, you've never been to the South, the U.S. South, because you can get bumper stickers that say that.
Oh yeah, there was one tweet I did take a copy of yesterday. Julie Burchill saw Julie Burchill. So she said, "I see TERFs are trending. Come on, you TERFs."
Yeah.
Oh, right. That's about the level of maturity there is with Julie Burchill these days, isn't it?
Yeah, she said other things yesterday too, and today, and
yeah. Now, so as I say, I don't, I don't have a problem with detransitioners. It's transitioning is not for everybody. Okay.
Well,
hold on.
Okay.
Let me finish. Right, but here's the thing. Kira Bell's experience is in the minority. The amount of less than 2% of people who transition regret transitioning.
And
yes.
And even with that, there's only a small percentage of people who regret transitioning for the act of transitioning, as opposed to for societal reasons. Because obviously retransitioning is a thing, so it's a fraction of a fraction.
That happened with Rhea Cooper. They were known trans person. They they transitioned out. There was some sort of issue with the father, and I think they wanted to be accepted by their father, so they detransitioned. But they've, funny enough, by their mid-20s, retransitioned. So,
I mean, I detransitioned, and because I socially came out in high school, for a while, and because during the end of my senior year, I wound up being homeless. I didn't think it was safe, and then I just kind of didn't go back. And it's a much longer story than that, but let's just go with that one. So as someone who's been, I've been there as far as social detransitioning because of social reasons. I mean, thank God I went to art school. I would have had trouble with the transition itself.
So, anyways, part of the reason this case came about was due to an investigation by a BBC program called Newsnight, and they had a report obviously last night on it. And this is Mermaid's statement on that report, and I will show you what Susie Green said. Now, I actually know Susie. I've met Susie Green a couple of times. She's a really sweet person. I believe she had a trans kid herself, and has worked tirelessly for trans youth for many years. Not a single trans person was included on tonight's BBC Newsnight report on trans healthcare. Not one. We've offered trans young people as interviewees and hope they will be allowed to get a platform to speak. Tonight, Susie Green spoke passionately as CEO, campaigner, ally, and mum. Now, let me tell you something about the BBC. The BBC have become, in recent months, decidedly transphobic. Far more.
Yeah.
And one reason, you see, the thing is, TERFs are a minority. Okay, they are a small minority of bigots. Okay, most feminists I know disown them. They're not feminists. They are just transphobes. That's what they are. We shouldn't call them TERFs. We just should call them transphobes. But because the mainstream media is decidedly transphobic, they get a platform, right? And you're going to get the BBC having a go at trans people. Not one editorial of any of the national newspapers' editorial policy is pro-trans.
Wait, I missed what you just said.
I said none of the national papers have an editorial policy in this country of being pro-trans. The nearest is the Independent.
I was going to say the Independent seems to be reasonable.
Yes, reasonable.
Since you brought up the BBC, shall I read you the letter? I said, shall I read the letter?
Go on.
From them. Okay. From the BBC. When explaining this background, we felt it was also important to point out that the GIDS is currently facing separate legal action over the ability of children to give informed consent to treatment, delaying puberty, or helping them to transition. To give some context to those concerns, we made clear in the article. Oh shit. Yeah, this is the online article. There's a similar darn it. There's a similar letter that was sent about the program. While we understand those concerns, we made it clear in the article both that Bev Jackson was speaking on behalf of a self-funded lobbying group, and that these are complex issues and a focus of the review, including how.
That's about something different.
Yeah,
that's not about this particular thing. That's to do with there's another case being brought by a trans teen who wants treatment and isn't getting it.
That's why I'm like, I pulled the wrong one, but the answer's the same. The one that they did for The one that they sent to people who complained about yesterday.
Anyways, let's have a listen to what Susie Green has to say.
I can't hear her.
Yeah, I can't hear either.
Oh, right, okay. Guess he forgot to turn the sound on.
It's okay.
Well, hold on. Right.
I think it's a disaster, quite frankly. I think this is ushering a new era of discrimination against trans people. Nobody else has got this kind of measures in terms of young people and their autonomy over their own bodies. It is only young people who are trans who are being subjected to this. And I can't go into individual instances because obviously that would violate people's privacy, but we've seen today the devastating impact that this judgment is already having and will continue to have over the next few months and years to come. Our helpline and our forums being swamped by families and young people who are personally impacted, and the inevitable rise in self-harm and suicidality we are seeing is worrying.
Let's deal, if you don't mind, let's deal with those separately. This is not, as you'll know, it's not denial. All it does is put it back to the courts to make the final decision. So they're not saying no one can have this treatment. They're just saying we need to get this right. We need an extra level of checking so we don't end up with the kind of regret that you just heard a moment ago from Kira.
Yeah, but you've got to appreciate that Kira's experience, although obviously valid, is not representative of the vast majority of people who go through this process. There's less than a 1% regret after transition. Are we saying that it's so much better not to be trans that will sacrifice the happiness of those 99 trans young people who need this treatment?
I guess what we're saying is that the court weighed up thousands of pages of evidence. They took those views into account. They heard from young people, 3 GIDS patients who were submitted by the Tavistock. They've done their homework on this and they think more protection and more guidance for young people is used with these highly unusual, innovative drugs that they know very little about.
These have been used for over 3 decades. This is not experimental treatment.
Not in this specific way to start the transitioning process, which, as you know, it does.
No, they have. The Dutch instigated this kind of treatment in the 1980s, late 1980s. This has been used routinely to treat gender dysphoria and to halt puberty for many, many years. This is not experimental, and there are so many studies out there that show how efficient this is, how much it helps young people, how much it helps them to live their lives. This is literally life-saving treatment that is now denied.
I'm not sure that you can say it's life-saving because we know that...
for fuck's sake. That just shows sheer ignorance. Absolute.
It prevents suicide. How is that life-saving?
Yeah, the other thing is Susie Green was trending this morning on Twitter. And there was all these people saying she should be reported to the Charities Commission because she uses suicide as a blackmail tool. What?
Yeah,
she's trying to emotionally blackmail people with suicide. Blah, 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 blah. No, she's stating fact. 4 in 10 trans people attempt suicide.
Yeah, so, yeah, that's a common turf thing, too, to just, to say anything that they can't argue against, they will essentially say, oh, this is an invalid talking point. And they'll find a reason to have it invalid. If you're talking about intersex stuff, talking about suicide rates, those are the 2 of the biggest ones that you end up with that sort of bullshit.
Suicide is way too many, but there is no strong evidence to support that this is either life-saving or that this increases the risk of suicide. GID's own website says, thankfully, suicide is extremely rare. So to say it is life-saving is dangerous. It's different territory.
I don't think so. Not when this is anecdotal. This is what parents are saying to us. This is what families and young people are saying to us, that this is literally something that they desperately needed, that their children desperately needed, that this is something that literally saved their lives. So this is anecdotally from parents. I've been working in this field for like over 21 years because and I've seen literally thousands of families, and I have seen the difference, the positive difference that access to puberty blockers gives to young people, that allows them to get on and live their lives without the torture that is puberty.
And
having to
we know
cannot bear is horrendous.
Well,
and this now is basically going to force potentially thousands of young people to experience that.
I think it's different. I wouldn't for a moment contradict your own experience or what you've heard from young people, because as we said a moment ago, this is intensely personal and every single person is different. But what the judges have said...
Yet again, I'm trying to undermine her. She has just said that 99, out of 100 trans people, this is essentially life-saving for, and Emily Murray's everyone is different. Yeah.
Most people aren't trans.
But there are commonalities. You see, never mind.
Is that the evidence base for the treatment is highly uncertain. It's an experimental treatment. And even when I was speaking to the Tavistock a year ago, Elizabeth Van Horn says the evidence is not gold standard. They do not have...
No! Science isn't fucking medical science isn't foolproof. We know this. Duh!
Evidence to try and draw conclusions about the benefits of this. And surely an extra layer of protection can only be a good thing.
But medical science, right, is peer-reviewed, right? That's the whole scientific method. And as we keep on saying, 99 out of 100 trans people who undergo gender reassignment are, at least appreciative of having come out as trans. Whether their life works out better, that's obviously, we all know what it's like to be trans, and some people can't deal with that.
It's hard for us to deal with it sometimes. I mean, let's be real here. I didn't want to be. I didn't want to be this. I mean, I'm happy with who I am, but it was a lot of pain going into that.
Yeah. And ultimately, when it comes to these sorts of things, there is a genuine problem for delaying treatments. Like adding more layers adds more delaying, and adding more delaying increases the chance of it increases the chance of suicide.
Well, as I said, I had a severely fucked up childhood because I was prevented from, even socially transitioning. Never mind about hormones. I mean, back then, I think you couldn't undergo gender reassignment until you were 21. We're talking about 30 years ago. So, that's in this country. And, as I said, I just kept being told I was disturbed, that I was an attention seeker. No one took me fucking seriously.
Yeah, I had the problem of being not super rich and not finding out about it until my 20s, and as the clock ticked on toward not being covered by my parents' insurance, and not having any real clothes, being terrified to go out and stuff. Kink was still like the first thing people jumped to.
Yeah, I can still remember those days where people would say, well, unless you can pass 100% or near enough, don't bother. That was the attitude. I was actually one of the first to say, no, fuck that, I'm me. I actually remember that. I remember those days, the early noughties, that, there were people who were true scum bullies, what we would call true scum now. They were bullies. There was one in particular who I won't name, who basically got off on pissing on everyone else's self-confidence to make herself feel better. She would go, "You don't pass, I do." I mean, so even when I was turned 18, I tried to transition, but part of the problem for me was lack of confidence because I was disabled. I always thought I would need support being a disabled person. As it goes, in the end, I didn't. But for many years, I kind of, felt, I had a lack of confidence, even I really, really wanted to, because there was all these people going, you must, you need to look the part, blah, 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 right?
Do all this expensive stuff.
And I remember some of the carers around me with that I spoke to Elenani about this the other week, that one of them, in hindsight, I now realise was a TERF, because I introduced her to a trans friend of mine, and they said after meeting them, they mutilated their body. Now at the time, I didn't know what a TERF was. Many years later, I found out what a TERF was, and I started hearing them saying, we mutilate our bodies and whatever else. And I thought, that sounds familiar. That sounds like social worker Sue, who was supposedly my support worker. But it all fitted because it was like, every time I said I wanted to transition, she would always try and dissuade me not to. It just seemed like I was never going to get any support from her. And eventually what happened was that same trans friend who she claimed self-mutilated themselves came around my house one public holiday, what you would call a public holiday, we call a bank holiday, and put 2 boxes of hormones in my hand and said, get on with it. Don't tell anyone you're getting on with it. And I did. And I'm here.
Nice. Yeah. That's more.
But I say fuck you to all those people who played, who might. I also remember social worker Sue, because I remember when I did eventually transition, she was like really cold and distant towards me. And after about 2 months of this, I had it out with her, and she said, "Oh, if you think I'm being hard on you, you just wait until you get to the gender identity clinic." Well, funny enough, I walked through the door of the gender identity clinic, because I had already changed my name. I'd been living in role for, as they say, living in role. No, I was living as myself. For what was it, by then 2.5 years. I was already self-medicating. Within 2 minutes, he was convinced I was trans. There you are. Hardly giving me a hard fucking time.
Yeah, I went to I went to a gender therapist. I had 1.5 appointments because it was basically, no, we're referring you straight over.
Well, you hear all these horror stories, particularly because back when I first tried to transition, there was like two routes in this country. You could either go via Charing Cross or any of the other gender identity clinics there were on the NHS, or you could go through Russell Reed, who was a private shrink in London. And I actually, the first time I got diagnosed with gender dysphoria was by Russell Reed, and he was eventually censured by the General Medical Council because I can't mention their name for legal reasons. This person really does sue people. They basically they were a person with too much money and not enough sense, and they said that Russell was pushing them into having surgery in the second appointment, which was utter bullshit, because Russell's method was basically to take a back seat and let the patient decide what it is they wanted. And also, he used hormones as a diagnostic tool. If he didn't like, he always felt that, and there is some evidence to say this. I believe John Hopkins University used this method, that if you put someone on hormones early, you will find out if either they are gender dysphoric or they just have a fetish. The thinking was that they won't like, a person who gets off on cross dressing, and can I just say there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not into kink shaming. Won't like the effects hormones have on them because they won't be able to get it up as much. So, you find out the wheat from the chaff, right? So to speak. So, and he was, censured for basically using a diagnostic tool which had been used at one of the most premier, medical universities in the world.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, now there's a story on the Canary. I just saw this before we came on. Now the Canary is an interesting news site. It's a very left-wing news site. Now, the one difference between here and the United States is that the left in the United States is pretty united on trans rights.
Yeah.
Here it's split. But one thing it says here is that it says, I don't know if it's taking a piss, but it says, even those who are supportive of the ruling are concerned that there appears to be no plans to offer alternative support to young people dealing with gender dysphoria, the discomfort and distress of it comes. Sorry, I lost my place. Charlie Evans, a prominent campaigner and founder of D-Trans. Oh God, is that old one who goes on things like Infowars?
Sure. No, but
you know the one I mean.
I know the one you mean, and Charlie Evans is a different asshole.
Right. Okay.
And they know each other very well, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, you see, this is the problem I have with some detransitions. Look, if you want to detransition, fine. Okay, as I said, coming out as trans is not for everybody. Okay, but right, don't fuck it up for everyone else. Right? Just because it didn't work out for you doesn't mean it's not going to work out for everyone else. As Susie Green said, the vast majority of people who come out trans are happy coming out as trans.
If I recall correctly, and I may be wrong, so I'm putting that right there. Charlie Evans detransitioned because he turned Christian. Or
religion's got a lot to answer for.
Yeah,
well, Deborah Hayton is another Aunt Thomasia. She's her partner's a fundamentalist Christian, and we wonder if the reason she's a gender the fucking term gender critical. They're not critical of gender. They're not critical of gender at all. That they're they're fucking gender absolutists, biological absolutists.
Yeah.
Gender and biology are connected. Blah blah blah. No, they don't. Sorry.
Essentialists.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
So, anyways, the reason I just read you that little piece. Oh yeah, there's Charlie Evans. Are going to be short by this news. They're going to have to adapt to quickly approaching puberty. Many will quickly no longer pass. Others will have heard from the media of their parents. They are more likely to commit suicide, and they needed this medication. Right. So even a detransitioner, right, has questioned this ruling.
Yeah.
That tells you how serious and bleak it is.
Yeah. It's awful.
Oh, and by the way, as I said, the Canary's a very left-wing website. It's found out today, it's emerged today, that Keir Starmer, him leader of the Labour Party, his chief of staff has been campaigning to get the Canary taken down. So much for freedom of the press, huh?
You know.
Well, Keir Starmer used to be, in a former life, used to be a human rights lawyer, but ever since he became the Labour Party, he seems to have forgotten, the concept of human rights, or, particularly trans rights. All I can say is, I just completely agreed with everything Susie Green said about this judgment.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
And
there are consequences that relate to just about everyone because of this ruling.
And while I don't have the ruling entire in front of me, I did read it. Like I said, a lot of people are getting a lot of it wrong, because they're saying, see, even the judges are agreeing with, and there's a section in there which basically says, we the judges, or however it's worded. I had wait, hold on.
Yeah, sorry.
We don't know what the fuck we're talking about, which is why we're making this ruling. It basically says that.
Well, the implications, as I pointed out earlier, was, for instance, if an underage girl needs an abortion because she's unfit to have a baby, this judgment has all sorts of implications there.
I'm not kidding. It does. Reading it as it is, it will allow anti-vax parents to.
Oh yeah. Talking about anti-vaxxers, right? So, by the way, we have a vaccine, you don't. We have a vaccine, you don't. We have a vaccine, you don't. Anyways,
well,
the majority of Americans probably won't have the vaccine forever. So
we're getting a normal leader. You're not. We're getting a normal leader.
Well, no. As soon as Matt Hancock, the health secretary, actually, to tell the truth, the British regulators have been the first in the world to approve the Pfizer. It's actually the American vaccine we're getting. The British, as I said, the British regulators have been the first to approve it. And as soon as Matt Hancock said the rollout of the vaccine will start next week, guess what was trending?
Anti-vaxxers.
No, not quite. Thalidomide.
Oh, lovely.
Wait, what?
Thalidomide.
Oh, you're probably too.
You're too young. I don't get to say that often.
You say that. I'm pretty sure that gets brought up a fair amount. What's thalidomide?
It was a drug given to pregnant women to ease pregnancy, and children were born with deformed limbs.
Oh, okay.
Or no limbs at all. And I do know a couple of people who were thalidomide kids.
Yeah, so do I.
But that was 60 years ago, and medical science has moved on. But anti-vaxxers, as soon as there's news about a vaccine, it's either it's got the mark of the beast in it, or oh god, it's another thalidomide.
Or vaccines cause autism.
Yeah, that's the other one.
Well, you know what? I don't care.
Well, the autism one has been disproven.
Repeatedly, but still brought up.
And the doctor who went about saying it caused autism has actually been struck off.
Well, yeah, it's sort of like the.
I hope everybody knows that.
Well, yeah, and it's sort of like the gynephilia person in that study has been completely disproven and broken down how wrong it is, but obviously gender critics still use it because they're like, we found a study.
Yeah, but the thing is, Ozma, they're not gender critical. They're the least critical of gender.
There is one British turf that trans turf who claims to be an autogynephile. So you never know what would happen.
Oh yeah, that's Miranda. Is it Miranda Yardley by any chance?
It is Miranda Yardley.
Do you know I've actually met Miranda Yardley?
Oh God.
Oh, God.
I am so sorry. Did you wash your hands thoroughly?
God, it was a bit awkward. She turned up at Trans Pride of all places. I was civil to her.
I'd probably be. I'm generally civil anyway. Although I ended. There was one turf that was like bothering me all yesterday, and I ended every tweet with "fuck off, Angela."
Well, I mean, I had an entertaining recent conversation with a turf, but admittedly, I pointed out the problems. They said they didn't want to read it, and it was just a tweet, and I'm just like, I'm sorry you're so like fuck, what term I basically you're an idiot by choice was the statement I said. It's just like, how was I dumb? And I'm just like, I can't explain this in less than 10 words.
I was gonna say,
like,
was it Angela? Because she was doing shit like that to me.
No, it wasn't Angela. It was some turf. But anyway, and naturally there was the final response of, "Oh, I wasn't asking you to explain."
I was gonna say, Miranda Yardley. I don't hate Miranda. I feel sorry for her.
I feel sorry for her as well, frankly.
And I hate to say this, but my fiance
is Miranda Yardley.
Oh my God!
The twist.
No, actually, I shouldn't say it.
Okay.
If you hesitate like that with the way you don't hesitate at anything, we were trying to save you, I think.
Yeah. Well, no, I was going to say no. The other thing about Miranda Yardley, she tried to cause trouble with me in the Labour Party because I tweeted, if you're a trans person who supports TERFs, you're like a Jew voting for Hitler. What she didn't realise, because she accused me of anti-Semitism, what she didn't realise is I'm Jewish.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
and nothing I said was anti-Semitic in the first place.
Well, yeah, that you should point out more because being Jewish doesn't stop Ben Shapiro from supporting Nazis. So, like, but yeah, there were Jews that voted for Hitler, and Ben Shapiro would be one of them if he was back.
Yeah, as I've told you before, Ben Shapiro's a capo.
Yeah.
Anyways, I prefer not to speak speak about Miranda. As I say, I don't hate her, and I wish she finds peace. So moving on.
Yeah. Yesterday was weird because I mean, of course, I'm openly trans on Twitter, which means that the TERFs had a field day coming after me. Which
I still don't know why they don't come after me more. It's weird.
Well,
because I actually argue back.
No, I argue back too.
There's a very useful thing on Twitter. It's called the block button. That's what I do.
Well, no, I mean, maybe it's because so many TERFs have blocked me. Maybe the ones who talk the most are the ones who blocked me, so my tweets don't get noticed. Because I don't block them; they block me.
I don't block. I do not block anybody. My rule is that I do not block anybody.
Oh no, well, whatever. I've gone over the people I block.
Yeah.
Here's the weird thing, right? Blair White blocks me, but Rosa Dawn doesn't.
Huh.
I've got the opposite.
Yeah, I think I might have the opposite as well.
Well, she might have blocked me by now because I know that she noticed something I tweeted about her the other week. I said the reason we have Trans Day of Remembrance is because of people like Rosa Dawn, which is true.
That was rough.
Well,
yeah.
it's the truth, and you know
It is
why.
the truth. Of course, it is the truth, but it's still rough.
Anyways, enough about them, because the thing is, if there's one thing Ari has made me see sense about, she said, you know, do you remember the last time Ari was on Fluid Voice?
Yeah.
You know, she said, I don't want to talk about it. What's worth talking about? You know, why talk about them? She's right. Anyways. Indiana asks the Supreme Court to let it strip rights for same-sex parents. You know, if there's one state which would do this, it is Indiana.
Yeah, fuck Indiana.
It wasn't it the first state to have a religious freedom law? I mean, for those people in Britain, religious freedom, that sounds like, you know, you could be free to be religious. No, you're just free to be a Christian bigot. That's what it means.
It's also where the largest concentration of KKK members are.
I thought that was Georgia.
Nope.
All right.
Yeah, this is why Georgia's like moving blue.
Yeah, Georgia's moving blue, and the reason for the KKK is because they were sued out of existence in Georgia.
Okay, so
it's if you really want to know the history, I'll do it. But Indiana is the home of the KKK.
We know that the Supreme Court might be in favour of ditching gay same-sex marriage.
Yeah, because Alito and Thomas have already said it.
Yeah, and now they've got Barrett as well.
Yes, I'm allowed to have a job so I could do the Lord's work. Barrett, yes.
Yeah, well, you know, so what's the chances of Indiana turning into fucking Gilead?
Have you been there?
No.
It's
a flyover state.
It's too fucking late. I'm driving out to Seattle in a couple of months, and I'm actually trying to figure out how to avoid Indiana.
Fuck Ohio. Sorry.
No, Ohio's fine. No,
Ohio doesn't allow gender change on birth certificate.
This is true, but
Ohio voted for Trump. Fuck them.
I have to go through Ohio. I can't avoid Ohio.
Well, yeah. You could make a dash of. You could always go through Canada.
I can't. I can't. The border's closed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
It would actually save me 3 hours off a 3-day trip if I could go through on Southern Ontario, which is normally how I would go.
Well, I did once hear someone describe Indiana. They said, "You ever seen Children of the Corn?" And I went, "Yeah, vaguely. I'll remember it." He said, "Well, that's Indiana for you." What's the chances then?
Small. I'm going to be totally serious. The chances are very, very small. And you would think it would be big, and it is something that people should be concerned about, but small.
Yeah, and the whole thing of religious freedom. You see, the thing is, this harks back to Aria's run for sheriff in New Hampshire. Because I remember when I told Jane Fay about it, she said, "You've missed the story here." And I went, "What?" She said, "It's not that she's trans; it's that she's a Satanist." And I said, "Well, it puts to tests that, you know, the principle that America was founded on religious freedom."
Yeah,
that's, you know, fucking Republicans keep going on about freedom. Well, you know, she's free to be a Satanist. Yeah. Some Republicans don't seem to get that. They just think, you know, freedom of religion is just to be a Christian bigot. Hence why Pence brought in his stupid, asinine, fucking digressive religious freedom bill in Indiana.
One of the weirdnesses about the way things have gone this last couple of years amongst other weirdnesses. People seem to feel free to. We have one of the clauses in the Constitution is that there shall be no religious test for office, for any public office. However, Ilhan Omar gets the "you're a Muslim" thing thrown at her all the time.
Well,
Yet
so did Obama.
Amy Coney Barrett, who is in a cult, who is in a very dangerous fucking cult, everybody goes, well, you're being anti-Christian if you criticize her on that basis. No, it's a fucking dangerous fucking cult. Be Christian all you like. I'll date a Christian if I have to.
Well, I mean, you don't have to date anyone. You're not obligated to.
Do you know the thing I'm hearing from the far right about LGBT people these days is I saw a couple of videos from one from Rose of Dawn and one from Paul Joseph Watson, basically saying this: I've got nothing against LGBTQ people, but can they not get in my face about it?
Yeah, that's been going on for a while. The
LGBTQ people go. What they mean by that is they don't like pride parades.
Well, they don't like being aware of it. Those complaints have been made against video games, movies, anything that features anyone who is black or queer or just any number of things. They're just like, why are they shoving it in our face?
You can't see me. You can't see me, but I am indeed waving my little pride flag my little trans flag right now because fuck them.
Yeah. Anyway,
I really am. Just so you know, I will
it's
now
not.
No,
sorry.
We believe you. We genuinely believe you, Christy. Because we know that you are emphasizing that because you are actually doing it.
Anyways, before we move on to the story,
before we move on to happy news,
yeah. Well, there is a stupid story. I forgot to put it in, but I just remembered it. Gotta find it here. Oh
fuck Ellen. Sorry.
There was a Bananarama story. What's up with Bananarama?
Never mind about them.
I love Bananarama. Are you kidding?
Where is it?
That story. Okay.
Oh dear. Yes. Okay. Have at it. I'll be right back.
What is wrong with Graham Lyman? What the fuck is wrong with him? No, seriously, he's fucking obsessed.
I mean, yes, he is definitely obsessed, but I mean that is that's actually true of a lot of conservative things. There's a lot of content obsessive.
Well, he's not conservative, actually. I don't think he is conservative.
Oh, sorry, it's hard for me to tell because I'm so used to because I live in America. So obviously, he talks like a conservative from America.
Well,
also, what the fuck, UK?
Well, I mean, to me, he's a conservative by doing shit like this. This is kind of the shit I'd expect an alt-right troll to pull.
Yeah. Also, I think that account has already gotten banned.
Yeah, but the point is, he has lost his wife. He can't get any work. Yeah, all because of his transphobic obsessions. Someone really needs to stage an intervention with this guy.
Yeah, he genuinely needs some sort of psychological help, and I do mean that in the I'm actually concerned about his mental health and his ability to live a happy, peaceful life.
Yeah. Well, anyways, that's a silly story. Of course, there's the other story which hasn't got many headlines. It's just been on Twitter. Is Candace Owens has got her knickers in a bunch about Harry Styles wearing a dress.
Oh
in
yeah.
Vogue.
Yeah, that was a fun thing. I had
Yeah. Which to my response is my response is Jesus, where aren't there more important things we should be debating about? Huh?
Oh, my response was because someone made like some maybe it's just that I'm thinking of some other Candace Owens things, because so someone made a comment in a reply possibly on that chain about, you know, it's cool the freedoms that we have in America and you know, all these queer people getting rights, and then she's just like, this is heterophobia, and Candace is like, this is heterophobia, and these are the reasons straight men are getting killed. And I maybe quote tweeted that, and it was just like, really? This? Not the wars, not the let me get this quick, because this was recent, because this was today, I think.
Not the toxic masculinity.
Do you need to share screens?
Really, not straight men, not in wars, not straight men being murdered by police officers, not straight men dying of old age, not straight men dying of disease. Really? Just praising freedom is getting straight men killed? Because, yeah, it's just... holy shit.
Anyways, on to happier news, and this is where Christy can talk to us about this.
Yes, one of my celebrity crushes.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, I saw it trending on Twitter, but I didn't know who they were. And then my fiance said to me, "Oh, do you know that?" I said, they mentioned it to me, and I said, "Who are they? I don't remember. I don't know who they are. I don't watch the Umbrella Academy." And they said, "Oh, she was in Inception." I went, "Oh, right, yeah."
Well, let's properly. Well, actually, we can't properly pronoun yet because we're just gonna have to go with they, because we haven't gotten he or she or
What?
He or they yet.
What do you mean?
I
mean, the letter said he and they.
Yeah, it's referring to them.
I may have missed it.
He said he and they pronouns. Amazingly, I saw a screen cap of Netflix correcting the not dead naming Juno like right after that, and with all the praise, it's just fucking amazing.
Well, they refer to them as a he here. Okay, yeah. I'll go with he, and I must have missed it in the thing. I was just kind of like over the moon about it. One of the things, though, one of the reasons it didn't surprise me, there was an interview that he did on Colbert, January maybe, and I was like, "You're talking like a trans person, not like this. You're talking the lingo. I know the lingo."
Is this as big as Kate? I think this is as big as Caitlyn Jenner.
Well, I mean, I think he's bigger than. He's more well known than Caitlyn Jenner.
Well, I think to a younger generation, I would definitely agree with that.
Yeah, but even like, I mean, up until 40s. So.
Well, me and Christy will remember Caitlyn Jenner when they were in Chips. Da 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 da.
Oh wow. Anyways,
because Eric Estrada couldn't ride his fucking motorbike.
That was you're doing the A-Team theme.
Da, 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 da,
Oh yeah,
da,
okay.
da,
That
da,
is
da,
Yeah.
da.
Anyways.
fine. My brain.
But yeah,
Of course. Boy George was in an episode of the A-Team.
Yeah, that was a controversial thing. That was a fucking controversial thing at the time.
Yeah,
If you recall. Wow.
yeah,
How far we've come.
yes.
Now Boy George is a turf. Yay.
Yeah, so is Richard O'Brien. But I never liked the Rocky
Richard
Horror.
O'Brien keeps trying to fix it, but he keeps not having the proper words.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I never liked the Rocky Horror Picture Show in the first place.
Rocky Horror saved my life. So,
Did it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's going to have to be a debate for another day.
It's yeah. But it's yeah. And it's hard to yes, I did once he did the thing, I actually my next show I covered one song from Shock Treatment, not from Rocky Horror, and said this is the last Richard O'Brien song I'll be doing.
Yeah.
So
It's just a jump to the left and a step to the right.
well weirdly it's a song called Breaking Out, which is about coming out, and I just not long before that come out, and it was my favorite Richard O'Brien song. So
all right,
obscure, but what the hell.
Okay, well, if you like this, whatever, LGBTQ Rants.
If you like this news commentary by queer folk,
We
yeah,
are.
like, share, and subscribe. I know you won't, but
hey,
I have to ask.
hey,
Like,
hey,
share,
we had.
subscribe. Hold on a second.
Look,
it's
look.
doing it this time. Screw you.
Microraptor, Andrew, that's terrorist, bro. These people are cool, and they've been watching.
Did we have people on the chat? I didn't know.
Yeah, because it's on
Twitch.
Because it's on the Fluid Voice as well. That Discord. Because we had the talk, we agreed about it, and so yeah. So
I apologize for being a cunt.
Remember to like, comment, subscribe, hit the thumbs up, hit the notification bell.
Yeah.
The same Patreon. See, this is how much I'm used to saying Patreon.
Anyways,
Patreon to Fluid Voices for this. So please keep that up.
Anyways,
if we're gonna give Sophia money, we should, at least have other people give it,
Anyways, so where can people find you, Alex? And Ozma. I apologize.
Well, both essentially work. It's sort of like not to bring up a person who's not the most popular on the left. Destiny being referred to as Steven, it's not a problem. Me being referred to as Alex is not a problem. But that said, you can find me in Ozma in the Dark just about everywhere. OzmaInTheDark.com has a link to my sites. I have a Discord, Ozma in the Dark, that you can find somehow or another. I'm not sure how. No, there are links to it on OzmaInTheDark.com, which effectively goes to OzmaInTheDark.wordpress.com, because I'm not subscribed to that or whatever. Anyways, yeah, and you can find me at Talking to Nothing on Twitter, and obviously you can find me every Wednesday here on LGBTQ Rants, and every Sunday on the Fluid Voice. This Sunday we're talking to the Godless Cranium. So
we are. Oh, sweet.
Yeah, Godless Cranium was booked for this Sunday. So
I was gonna suggest him. He's my friend. So
yeah.
Right. So, Christy.
I am Normality Quake on Twitter. or at Normality Quake on Twitter. Everywhere else, I'm some version of Chris Abbey. Christy Abbey is my main channel. Chris Abbey without the TY. Chris Abbey Music is my. I'm writing a song. I figured I'd record it to work on it. That's that channel. And I actually looked up Chris Abbey Music not long ago, and I find I have 4 websites. So, so there's that too.
Got any interviews coming up on your YouTube channel?
Yes, but yes, I can't announce anything yet.
All right. Well, my name is Sophia Botha. You can find me at Sophia Botha 74 on Twitter and on YouTube. Embarrassingly, I've got to check what my channel's called.
My channel is still a bunch of letters, but to be fair, I haven't sorted out producing regular content on my more personal channel. But yeah.
Well, yeah, it's well, actually, I can't. Well, it's just type in Sophia Christina Botha and you'll find me on YouTube. I did an interview with Jackie Walker last week,
Nice.
who's some people would say controversial anti-racist campaigner. I think she makes a lot of sense. I am currently chasing Mark Chadwick for an interview. He is the lead singer of the Levelers, and tomorrow I'm going to be doing something with Kevin Logan. So stand by for that.
Nice.
Kevbo, tell him, give him a kiss for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and people can obviously find us down below in the comments because there are links to all of our sources as well.
And have you been putting the Patreon link in?
Fuck. Have I?
That's okay. I haven't worked on the Patreon page in a while.
Oh Christ! This is even better. This is even worse than a Rudy Giuliani press conference.
No.
Well,
none of us have dyed our hair and had it leaking, okay?
Yes, although you wouldn't want to see me right now, which is why you're seeing a picture of me from 2 years ago.
All right. Right. Well, that's it. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, I can't. Yeah, the live long and prosper thing's not going to work because you can't put my hand.
Well, wait. I'll do it for you.
Thank you.